a presbytery, our region, covers time zones. We're in both Central and Eastern time. And so depending on where one is right this very second, it might be 11 o'clock in the morning or it might be noon. So it's either an early lunch, listen and learn for you, or right on time, high noon lunch, listen and learn. And I want to say welcome to all of you. The reason we're talking to our friends from Hoosier Interfaith Light and Power, did I get that right?
Power and Light.
Power and Light, Power and Light, IPL.
Right.
Interfaith Power and Light is because Mike Penninan from First in Hammond has a connection, has been talking with Blake. Maybe they're strategizing, maybe they're scheming to do something at First Hammond, I'm not sure, but here's Mike and he'll tell you all the secrets of what's happening with Hoosier Interfaith, Power and Light, and First Hammond. But he suggested that Blake and this organization would be great for us to learn more about. And in fact, I couldn't agree more. Interfaith Power and Light is an organization I've been familiar with for some years in other states, but not in Indiana. And as it turns out, you know, just a little tiny bit of internet stalking led me to learn that there's only one Presbyterian church that's a Hoosier IPL solar congregation. Is that right? And that's Irvington Presbyterian, where Bob Hymack is. And Bob is one of the volunteer leaders of your organization. And friends in Wabash Valley will recognize Bob Hymack's name. His father, I believe, was pastor for many years at the Auburn Church once upon a time in an era far away, probably another century. And Bob's daughter, Abby, is just completing her service as the bridge pastor at the Presbyterian Church of LaPorte. So it's a small Presbyterian world. But it looks to me like it's an opportunity for us to learn about something that not a whole bunch of Presbyterians know about in Indiana, and that's and we'll be the better for that. I also think that talking with Blake is a good idea for us in this time and place, because thinking about the stewardship of creation and thinking about how we can be good stewards of the physical plant of our church, as well as you know, creation care as a whole, is something that you can be thinking about in or out of a pandemic. And the thing we know and learn again and again is that congregations that are able to be focused on something other than when are we going to get to be able to worship together again in person, is part of what's keeping them vitally engaged in the world and vibrant and energetic, because there are diminishing returns in having the same conversation over and over again based on positivity counts in our communities. So, and the need for us to be good stewards of creation and engaged in mission is not something that takes a break during a pandemic. So Blake, welcome to you, and Ray Wilson, welcome to you. This group is eager to hear from you and is sitting at your feet, so to speak, sort of, kinda, right now. So welcome, take it away and use this time as you wish, and leave room for questions, because some of the brightest minds in a 3-state radius are on this call right now. And we'll surely have questions after you have an opportunity to present. So thanks for being with us.
Wonderful. Thank you for having us. It's great to speak to others about our mission, and especially during this time when we have more time to think about what's going on in the world around us. It's wonderful to be able to share what we're doing here at H-IPL. So I actually prepared a PowerPoint. I'll share my screen, and then I'll get to sharing about what HIPPL is all about. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so our mission is to bring together Hoosiers of all faiths, philosophies, and spiritualities in order to promote renewable energy, energy conservation, and efficiency as a response to climate change. The agenda for today's meeting for this presentation is we're going to go over a brief background of HIPPL in case you never heard of it. And we're going to cover three main areas of action that we focus on in HIPPL, and that's green teams, advocacy, energy stewards and thriving faith communities, and then upcoming events. And we'll close giving you the upcoming events that we have planned, and then we'll allow time for questions. So HIPPL is part of the National Interfaith Power and Light, as Jennifer mentioned, and there were over 35 state IPLs, the National Interfaith Power and Light Group came to form in 2000, and 10 years later is when Hoosier Interfaith Power and Light formed by members of various faiths across Indiana, all across Indiana, and we are anchored by several different HIPPL affiliates across the state in Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, Kokomo, Bloomington, and Evansville, and these affiliates meet regularly, and they support congregational efforts to take action. So they help individual congregations solve any problems they face and help guide them toward achieving their goals. And these affiliates also plan multi-congregational actions, which can be tasks of the month. We've had that where in Bloomington there was a task of the month, and all the congregations in Bloomington that are part of that affiliate would take part and participate in that. And they utilize local media to draw attention to what they're doing, all the great things that they're doing. They host HIPPL workshops. We'll get to the workshops later. I'll explain what HIPPL workshops are. And they also host guest speakers. For example, the Eastside Creation Care Network hosted speakers from Purdue Climate Research Center and other Earth Justice India or Earth Charter Indiana, and just different educational speakers that way. And overall, Hoosier Interfaith Power and Light is Indiana's faith community response to climate change. As I mentioned earlier, we provide support and guidance to congregations who wish to care for creation by facilitating opportunities through three main areas of action. And that is green teams, energy stewards, and thriving faith communities, as well as advocacy. But I would like to mention that many congregations often participate in all three of these. So they interact and overlap with each other. So you may be asking, what is a green team or creation care team? And that green teams and creation care teams are the word is interchangeable, but the core essence of these is that they are they consist of a group of individuals within a certain congregation that are interested in caring for creation and work to connect spiritual practices and traditions with the concerns and solutions for land, water, air, and all living creatures. So, green team actions. This is a wide-ranging topic, and it is really inspiring for me to hear all the different things that congregations can do and have done with their congregations. And so the first is they often an easy step for some, hard step for others, but one common thing to do is to plant prairie gardens, rain gardens, and vegetable gardens. And these all have their benefits for the congregation and the environment in different ways. For example, planting prairie gardens. Planting prairie gardens are a great way to include all members of your, as many members as possible of your congregation into constructing these. And it's very aesthetically pleasing. As you can see, these people, they were constructing a prairie garden, and it brought the congregation together in this way. And rain gardens often do the same. They bring native plant species into the area, they beautify it, and and having this rain garden often filters out water, rainwater that can be dirty if put back into the rivers and streams. And so it's a natural way of handling rain. And then vegetable gardens are really interesting because it can serve as two purposes it can serve more than two purposes, and that it's environmentally friendly because you get your food from the source. You get it right from your property. So that all the carbon that is used to transport it is non-existent because you can just grow it on your property. But it also helps the community around you. You can donate. I've seen congregations donate this food. For example, in Fort Wayne, they have a food desert, and Gary, Indiana, with the Progressive Community Church. I don't know if you all have heard of that, but both these areas have food deserts and low-income areas that aren't often able to afford these vegetables. So the church often helps and makes a big impact in this way by producing the food, helping engage community members, and then donating this food to food banks or things of that nature. So those gardens can be interesting in many different ways and many different aspects for the environment and for the congregation and those who interact with it. The next thing that green teams have done is education outreach. As you can see in the top picture up there, they go to local green team members and congregations go to local events in the community, and they share about what they have done and at their church, and they table and just share all the information and activities that they have done. And a third thing that green teams do is that they participate in recycling projects, and this really runs the gambit of things, benefits, and types of projects. And that there have been congregations that collect bottle caps, and then at the end of the year, they have recycled those bottle caps. That is the plastic bottle caps. They have recycled those for park benches on their property and in their childcare area. So that was really interesting to hear how that happened in the past. And another interesting recycling project that has been done, and these are all simple things that can be implemented by just having a voice in your congregation. Another thing that has been done is that during Lenten services, Lenten fish fries, one congregation in the Fort Wayne area has, instead of using plastics and reusable items such as styrofoam plates, plastic cups, silverware, etc., they have substituted that with reusable dishes and forks and spoons, and that has saved money and plastic. And it's really great to see that serve the environment and also bring those types of issues to the forefront and actually be acted upon. And there's been another recycling project at a Greek Orthodox church down in Indianapolis, and during their Greek Fest every year, they never had recycling bins. So what their green team did was they made it a point to put recycling bins at all these different stations around the Greek Fest. So that was really great to hear. And but it doesn't end with that. Green teams also make energy improvements, which Ray will talk about later. but that can be as little or as simple as changing all your light bulbs, or it can be as big as adding solar panels or auditing your energy, that sort of thing. And yes, so there's a few other ones, such as advocating, which will be part of the advocacy kind of action subsection, and which I will talk about later. And the participation and community engagement. So that includes collaborating with other, if your town or community has other green groups, then having your congregational green team be a part of those is a great way to spread knowledge about what you're doing at your congregation, and also learn new knowledge as a congregation. And so another thing that has been done recently is the scheduling of events and tours to learn more about creation. For example, a congregation down in Indianapolis recently took a tour and learned about creation at this preserve that was through a local university. So that was really interesting to hear how they scheduled that. They learned, and a few of them have been inspired to continue on with that. So what does HIPL do? How does HIPL help you achieve those goals and whatever you want to do, whatever interests you in terms of green teams? HIPL's here to help, and HIPL wants congregations to achieve their goals. And so we do a lot of different things, a lot of support work for that. Green teams, we have coaching and meetings with green teams to provide guidance when needed. And yeah, so we are more than willing to meet with congregations and plan with their green teams. For example, recently, Dory and I, another staff member of HIPL, we have met with a congregation because they really want to reduce and make improvements on their energy usage. So we help them. We advise them and help them with their plan moving forward. And we also provide a connected network of other congregations that meet every month to learn, plan, and discuss solutions. And recently, about 6 months ago, we started a statewide call, and it has been successful in bringing different green teams to the meeting, and also discussing. We have got the ball rolling on discussing and sharing ideas between congregations. So we help facilitate that and provide a forum for congregations, big, small, experienced, inexperienced, to share ideas, and we help provide information and expertise in areas where they requested or just where we see that they might need help in the future. And then we also offer expertise through our workshops. I'll click this link to show you some of them. But all these different measures are free, so please, if you're interested, take advantage of them. And even these workshops, for example, we have Green Team Basics Creation Care 101. It's like a green team workshop geared towards starting that green team and creating a plan for the future. And then we also have using energy prudently workshop, which helps live out your values by caring for creation in terms of making sure that you reduce your energy consumption while also spending less on utilities and more on your mission. So your congregation's mission. We help by improving energy efficiency. We help care for the environment while also building your budget for other missions. And we also have a climate boot camp workshop, which helps congregations understand the science and the reasoning why climate change is an issue, and how it relates to care for creation. And we also have an environmentally responsible investing workshop, which helps congregation members and green team members plan for themselves and for their congregations, and how to invest in environmentally responsible ways that care for creation but don't harm it. So and rather than investing in fossil fuel companies or companies that don't have good environmental, social, or governance, we help them avoid investing in those with bad qualities, and we help congregations invest in companies that are beneficial to the environment, to society. And then we have Climate Choices Deliberative Dialogue Workshop, and this workshop helps congregations and those in green teams learn about how they can talk about different approaching those with different beliefs in terms of believing climate change or not. So yeah, we have all these workshops available for you for green teams, and we have different experts who join in on these. For example, the environmentally responsible investing workshop, we had folks who were investment managers come and speak, and we've had, for example, Ray is an expert in the energy. He has solar panels on his house, so he talked about using energy prudently. And those are just some of the ways that some of the workshops that folks can participate in. And so how you can get started, there's a basic handout here, which I've included in a document that will be sent out, or you can just email me at gardenbc@miamioh.edu to discuss having a green team at your congregation. And so now I'm going to hand it over to Ray to talk about talk about the different energy programs that we have. Ray, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. I was sure I was not going to forget that, but I did. I don't know what you all who are in attendance, what your positions are, whether you run a church, whether you talk to other churches. I'm going to assume at this point that you're affiliated at least with one congregation. And so I'm going to start out by asking you a few questions. And if just put your hand up like this if you know the answer. First of all, I want to ask you, does anybody know how many kilowatt hours of electricity your congregation used this last year? No. Does anybody know how many therms of gas you used in your congregation this last year? Here's an easy one. How much money did you spend on utilities this last year? Anybody know? I see one person. Roger, can you tell me about how much it was? You have to unmute. Still not hearing you. There you
go. I don't know how much it was,
but
it is a significant amount for my small congregation.
Yeah.
The two largest budget items, the three, are insurance, energy, and my part-time salary.
Yeah.
And so while I think it was around 5,000. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But yes, anything we can do to cut that down. And then I also find in our congregation too that there are things we have access to that we don't do. Like sometimes our double entry door system, we just keep the inside door open because
right.
because it's easier. And there are
Yeah.
things like that we could change our practices.
Sure. Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to ask one more question. This one is much more difficult, and most people don't know this, is how many tons of carbon dioxide does your congregation emit every year? Hardly anyone knows that, but you can figure it out. Anyway, I wanted to tell you that I do know in my congregation that last year we spent $10,000 less than we did 12 years ago on our utilities. And I know that we reduced our energy over that time period by 34%. And I do know that over that time period, we emit 58% less carbon dioxide. So how do I know this? Well, I'll get to that in a minute, but let me tell you a story. It goes back to about like 2013. Several of us, just starting really getting to know each other through H-IPL, decided we were going to go to the Indiana Department of Energy and seek a grant so that we could put solar panels on our roof of our congregations. And we started thinking about it, and we thought, well, how can we make this really attractive to the energy department? Of course, they want to put the solar panels up, but we will make sure we get this grant. So we all said, all right, here's what we'll do. We'll promise, in addition to put solar panels up with our money, that we'll reduce our energy consumption in our buildings by at least 25%, in addition to what the solar panels did. And we would make sure that we would involve our congregants and ask them to reduce some of their energy. And so we developed a survey so that we said we want at least 1/3 of the congregants to reduce their energy by at least 1/7 or 14% over what a normal Hoosier family uses. And then we said, oh, in addition to that, once we get through this, we have to promise to go out and talk to other people about what we did so that they might get excited about doing it as well. So that's what we did. Turns out that 6 congregations each got $25,000, and all 6 congregations exceeded the 25% reduction. And they also exceeded getting at least 1/3 of their congregants to use 1/7 less than the average Hoosier family. Well, I can tell you from having gone through this and having to keep all the data and develop spreadsheets and all that, it was pretty tedious, but we learned a lot of things. And so now, as part of this outreach, we really are talking to as many congregations as we can across the state about why they should do this as well and how can we help you. So we now have a service. H-IPL has a service called Energy Stewards. And if you participate in Energy Stewards, on a monthly basis, Energy Stewards will go to the utility company and they'll grab the gas consumption and price, the water consumption and price, and the electricity consumption and price, and put it into a wonderful database. And then they'll manipulate it all so it gives you graphs month by month so you can see if your energy use is going down over time and or up. It'll tell you how many tons of carbon dioxide you're emitting. It'll give you how many dollars per square foot you're spending on your buildings, and it allows you to compare yourself with other congregations who are part of this. It will even go as far as doing this and correcting the numbers so that if this year happens to be a really cold year compared to last year, it does weather corrected data, so it still tells you whether you in fact are making progress, even though if that year was really a cold year or a warm year, it'll factor that all in. And believe it or not, it'll give your congregation, your building, an Energy Star rating. Just like refrigerators have Energy Star ratings, you can get your congregation to have an Energy Star rating. And if you have over 70, a number over 75, that means that you're better than 75% of all the rest of the congregations, you can then label yourself officially as an Energy Star congregation. You can put a sign on the door or on your website or on your stationery, whatever. So one final and very important part of what Energy Steward offers is tucked into the whole program. There are over 100 suggestions of what a local green team or energy team can do to save this energy that I've been bragging about. And when you do make that, when you do that chore, you can then basically check it off, know when you did it, and you can keep track of other things that happen. And if once you get into this energy conservation journey, you're going to find that it really, really is helpful to have a journal to what you did when, because people are going to ask you about it. And you say, well, when did we change that? My congregation has 192 light bulbs in our sanctuary. And they were 50-watt halogen bulbs, really nice dimmable lights, 50 watts, 192. So we decided to bite the bubble here, you know, bullet, I guess is the right say, and change them all out. One Sunday after church, we had a team of people on ladders, and we actually wrote the date on the light bulbs so that these were warranted for 10 years. And so if any of them went bad, and we've had over the time period, I think we're about 4 or 5 of them have gone bad, I just turn it out, put another one in, and I send it, or I actually just call the company and they send me a replacement for free. So anyway, we went from 50-watt light bulbs, or 192 of them, to 8.5 watts. Like an 80% reduction in your energy use. So that's the kind of thing you can do. Well, when did we do that? Well, you can go right back to your energy steward and say, here's when we did it. Another little story. We have several buildings, and one of a couple of years ago, the water tank, the water heater, sprung a leak in the middle of the night, flooded the whole basement. So when we looked at our electric bill the next month, guess what? And our water bill, guess what? They were both up. So we actually can then catalog that on that day, that happened. And this is why the electricity went up so much that month, because we had to dry this whole place out with dehumidifiers and fans and all that sort of thing. So I'm just telling you, this is available tucked in here. So this is a service that H-IPL offers to congregations. Now I'm going to tell you about another project that ties into this perfectly. Here in Indianapolis, the city did a big plan, took a couple of years to put together. It's called Thrive Indianapolis. And it's all really focused to how to be a sustainable city, how to reduce our costs and our energy, how to make the city better. Well, one part of this plan sets a goal to reduce energy output or use in the whole city by 20% by 2025. And really, if you think about what you hear around the country, it's a pretty modest goal in some respects, but it's a big goal when you try to think about how you're going to do that. Well, the local affiliate of H-IPL said, well, what can we do? And what can we do to help? We all of a sudden hit on this idea. We'll get all the congregations in Marion County to reduce their energy using Energy Steward by 25%. We know we can do it. We do it. And people have done it. So we now have a program, or I'll call it a project, called Thriving Faith Communities. And it was really designed for Marion County. And we had a board meeting, a H-IPL board meeting, and we have board members around the state. And they said, in the age of COVID, why are you talking about Marion County? Let's talk about Indiana. You could even talk about the Midwest. So right now we have two things that I'll put my salesman hat on here that I'm selling today. One is to sign up for Energy Stewards. And the second one is to sign up to be part of the Thriving Faith Communities. And if you put those two together, any congregation having a small team, 3-4 people, can make a dramatic change, not only in the cost of utilities, but in the culture of the congregation. What we're ultimately really trying to strive for here is not only get the congregations to do what I just outlined, but get the congregants to do the same thing in their home. And I'll take this one step further. What gets people really excited about doing things like this is putting solar panels on their property. Well, solar panels cost some money. Guess what? If you do this right, you take the money you save in your utilities and you put it in a special little fund, and that's your starter fund for solar panels. And you ask your congregants to take a little portion of what they're saving in their home and add it to that little special fund. And before long, you have enough money to put solar panels on your roof. My congregation, this is the last thing I'll say about this, is my congregation right now generates well, right now we actually have an excessive amount of electricity in reserve at the utility company because we have our buildings closed down, and not using much electricity because of the amount of solar panels that we have at this point. Okay, I'm going to stop and I'll turn it back to Blake, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that, Ray. That was awesome to hear those stories. So I'm going to go share my screen again to tell you about the advocacy part of HIPL, and then I'll tell you about some upcoming events that we have. So some of the past advocacy initiatives that we've had are we've played key roles in Senate bills and fighting against Senate bills and fighting for some Senate bills. We have one actual green team and affiliate were initially the key movers in helping the Indianapolis Harding Street coal fire plant switch from coal to natural gas. So that's one example of a green team and an affiliate working on an advocacy initiative. But we also helped give them support, and we brought in all the congregations from the state to help sign petitions and things like that. And one of our most recent projects that I'm happy to tell you about is that we've had volunteers from different green teams from across the state, and also HIPL staff contact over 550 Hoosier voters as part of the Faith Climate Justice Voter Project, which was a initiative during the elections to help get faith voters out there to vote for creation care and help them vote for climate justice, as those were two big issues over the last election. And so we were successful in contacting that many people, and we had participation from folks all over the state, from different green teams and congregations. And yes, so those are some of the past advocacy initiatives. We're currently working on, there's been a new slate of bills that have been introduced. So we have plenty of more of those fights against Senate and House bills, and for some of those Senate and House bills in the coming months. So ways you can get involved in advocacy. It really is similar to Green Team Actions. There's a lot of different ways you can get involved. And so we have an advocacy network here at HIPL, and that offers opportunities for folks as part of green teams, just congregations. Maybe you don't have a green team and you'd still like to get involved with advocacy. Well, this is the way you do it. And being a part of our advocacy network means that you'll be receiving emails, petitions, maybe even meetings every now and then to to inform you about local legislation, state legislation, and national legislation that we as HIPPL are getting involved with or would like to hear we would like for legislators to hear our voice. And that's another key point about getting involved, is that when you get involved, the voice of the faith community, especially on care for creation and environmental justice, is amplified. And so the way that's amplified is by people making phone calls, attending hearings, whether that's hearings for resolutions or bills at your at the State House or at your town hall, or just on Zoom nowadays. You can do that. It's so easy to do. We've had people write letters, as you can see in one of the pictures. Our own Indiana Senator, Mike Braun, was a co-sponsor for many of the recent climate solution bills, and he's part of the Climate Solutions Caucus. He's actually a leading member on that caucus. So there was several folks decided to write letters to thank him for taking that action. And so that type of encouragement fosters a relationship with these legislators that HIPPL is proud to have. And you can also just simply post on social media or sign petitions, write letters to the editor, all of those relatively simple things that anyone can do. And this is one of my favorite pictures in the top left. It was a hearing at the State House, and several of our HIPPL, several people involved with HIPPL were there and actually spoke, gave testimony. So that was really cool. Another really big point that we have here, and it's coming up soon, is Renewable Energy Lobby Day. I don't know if you all have heard of it, but it's our biggest advocacy event of the year. And as you can see, it's on Friday, February 5th at 12 p.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. Central. And here's an event where we have a rally day on that Friday. And that rally day, we have state legislators from different parties, different viewpoints. And we also have businesses, and they all speak in favor of renewable energy. And they tout the benefits of renewable energy and friendly legislation. And so that rally day serves as a point for people to make meetings and create meetings with their legislators. We currently have about roughly a dozen HIPPL folks who are leading team meetings with their legislators. So if you're interested in that, please reach out. Yeah, we help facilitate those meetings and with constituents and faith community members with their legislators. Yes, so I do have that net metering 5x4 plan, but I would like to allow time for questions. So I'm going to skip around. That was just how we're in favor of net metering and all the net metering aspects that we are advocating for this upcoming legislative session. So to close, these are our upcoming events. We do have a few more in the works for February, but these are the ones that you should probably mark down on your calendar. They're going to be great. Renewable Energy Day, as I just mentioned, it's our biggest advocacy event of the year, and this year it's even more accessible for everyone at Zoom. They could stay at home, do it while they're on lunch. It's one of those things that is might have improved from the previous situation where people had to go down to Indianapolis, but now you can do it in the comfort of your home. So I hope you all participate in that. And then February, we have our statewide call on the 17th. And as I mentioned or alluded to earlier, those are times where we have speakers come in. They share, we've had people share signs. We've had people share different faith outlooks on creation, caring for creation. And then we also have different breakout rooms. One's with Ray for energy, to talk about all the energy initiatives that we have at HIPPL. And then one's with Dory to talk about advocacy. And then I talk about green teams, but I don't really talk that much. It's more of a forum for different green teams to talk and discuss with each other, almost like problem solving and solution finding with that. So I'd just like to thank you all again for inviting us on here to talk about HIPL. And if you have any questions, please ask them.
Blake and Ray, thank you both. Let's see if you're finished sharing your screen, Blake, we can go back.
Oh, yeah.
Have a look at people's faces and see if there are questions or comments. What occurs to you from hearing Blake and Ray's presentations? What questions would you like to ask or comments would you like to make?
This is Mike Pennanen from Hammond. I'll think out loud for a moment here. I mean, first of all, thank you to both of you. I scrolled a lot of notes. As I think about people in my own congregation, one of my questions for you is whether in the education area, you have resources that are helping people make connections to their own faith tradition. In other words, are the presentations and are the materials just all about the issues themselves without necessarily pointing to the different faith traditions we have and how we have a connection to make between our faith and, and the issue at hand?
I might take that one, Blake. Yeah, we're rather generic when it comes to that. We're very sensitive to the interfaith aspects of things. The one workshop that we have is called Climate Boot Camp. That's generally run by some of the minister kind of people who are part of HIPL, and they again are very sensitive to various denominations and religions, and basically all religions, as far as we know, have this call to be care for creation, basically. But to answer your question, we really don't talk to the Lutherans or the Presbyterians or the Jews. We let that up to you all, wherever you are in your particular congregation.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just respond to that by saying I do understand in a way that we can't just push everything onto others, and that as those of us who speak do need to delve into our own traditions. I guess I'd like to say that, or to suggest that that it could be possible to talk in a way that respects different traditions and that draws on resources from different traditions and trust those people participating to possibly enjoy hearing what other traditions have to say, so that you don't have to handle it as exclusively from this point of view or that religious point of view.
That's very true. What's really interesting to me is when we have been successful in getting a number of congregations, mixed backgrounds, and we get together as support groups, it's just great.
Yeah.
There's just last night I was on a Zoom call, and just a group just like yours was Catholics, and one of the people in that group is Sister Celia, and Sister Celia was in this ad hoc support group, and she just was great. If you wanted to know where the least expensive place to buy light bulbs are, you went to Sister Celia. So, and this cross fertilization is just wonderful. That's what we're really hoping to do with this thriving faith communities as well. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike. Paul Myrie.
Thanks. Paul Myrie, Wabash College, Wabash Center for Teaching and Learning Theology and Religion. Yeah, I'm very interested in the work. I've followed your work for a while, the interfaith light and power kind of work, but I'm curious about a couple things. So for one, Indiana has a large number of farmers associated with the respective congregations. In my experience in ministry and working with people in rural America, the farmers really are often at the front edge of knowing what energy efficiency means because it affects their bottom line and their bottom dollar. So I'm going to ask 3 sets of questions. So you'll choose whatever you want because I know my time's limited and yours is too. First is, how are you inviting the farmers into the conversation in the respective congregations? Rural America, people who are doing this kind of work day in, day out, they even use GPS on figuring out how much to fertilize or how much herbicide they need on any given quadrant of soil now. So that's one piece. Second piece of question I had for you is this whole question of congregational property. Congregational property has been largely underutilized as a food generating resource in my whole life and my whole experience. Some congregations have walnut trees on their property. The walnuts go unused. They see them as a nuisance, whatever. But I've long thought that persons in your particular spaces could actually encourage folks to begin thinking about how could we use, I don't know, the property, even the boulevard, as a place of generating food. Instead of just shade trees, you have fruit trees. Well, that requires some maintenance, but a community can actually do that. Small town communities could actually do that and be a part of it. So I'm wondering if you're working on that at all. Then the third piece is, are you working at all with Methodist Theological School in Ohio that has a farm integrated into their whole educational system? They think in terms of an environmental sustainability, justice throughout every single piece of their work. So every student who goes there has to go through some involvement with the farm. And they're so close, they're in Dayton, that I would think there could be some overlap and connection with respective congregations in this presbytery even. So that's it. I'm going to put myself back on mute.
Right, you want to
Yeah.
talk through
So
this?
yeah, I could talk about this. Yeah. So we to your first point. I haven't been reaching out to farmers per se. I don't know the occupations of the congregants in a lot of ways. Maybe I should. That's a great point. And get their thoughts about a lot of this, because like you said, that they are very knowledgeable about this. And to your second point, about the gardens and at congregations and using the property wisely, we have been pushing for that. And over my time here at H-IPL over the past summer, I've been trying to promote that type of that type of property use on our social media. I've been suggesting it and offering solutions to a few congregations about what to do with their property. And that's always, I agree that that's a big way they can help their mission. And I've been encouraging that. And this is the time where we're planning for that. Currently, we don't have any congregations that are planning for that in the spring right now. They haven't set plans or anything. But as the growing season nears, that is something that I would like to push for many congregations, as I think it could be very beneficial. And we have not collaborated with the Methodist School in Ohio that you mentioned. We have been working with Faith in Place in Illinois, who it's a branch of IPL. It's slightly different, but they do a lot of work with similar green team work. And so we'll have to look into the Methodist School in Ohio and come in contact with them, because that cross, similar to how learning from other congregations helps, learning from other state organizations or other organizations who are working on this front, that can certainly help our movement in Indiana as well. So thank you.
Other questions? We have a couple of minutes left. I hope all of you will find your way to H-IPL's website, HoosierIPL.org. Has lots and lots of good information and contact information for Blake. I'm not sure Ray is his email is there, but I bet somebody at HIPPL could put you in touch with Ray if you want to know the best place for light bulbs.
Blake, did you
More.
provide them with the URLs for the two sign-up documents, the Energy Stewards and Thriving Faith Communities?
Yeah, the URLs are on there for that. I'll also put your email in the chat here.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Anything more today on this subject? Next week, we're going to shift our focus from the creation and the wise use of our energy resources related to creation, and look at our own energy and our sustainability. Libby Davis-Mann from the Wabash Leadership Program is going to be with us to talk about some interesting things about our own energy and our own sustainability in this major marathon of ministry in a pandemic. So I hope she'll be with us. If you know Libby, you know that she's a delight, and we look forward to having her with us. And thank Kevin for suggesting her as a presenter. Thank you, Blake, for being with us. Thank you, Ray, for being with us as well. Delighted to have had you with us. I'm really hoping that our presbytery will find ways to encourage congregations in our midst to become involved, and that one of our cities will end up being in your hub area, because it's conspicuously absent from the places you note on HIPPL's map. So we want to get on your map. Thanks.
Good.
And typically, I told Blake this, that typically if people want to ask questions or linger for